You're in the 06010. Fantasy Focus.
What's good, friends? Welcome into Fantasy Focus Football alongside Field Yates and Margarita Mike. My name is Daniel Dopp, here with a Mock Draft Monday. Field, I'm so happy that you're here because I got to see your beautiful face all week last week. Right. I know how much you care about this show. I know how much you care about me because you decided to show up. So I'm excited to do another week with you. Mike, it's great to see you, I guess.
You are Mike, by the way. Field, nice to meet you.
I am. Hey, good to see you guys.
Mike, last name?
Clay, C-L-A-Y.
Got it.
Junior. Yeah.
Lester is your middle name?
You know, I want to say, Lester, that's right. I want to say I'm happy to be here. And in some ways I am. You know, it's good to see you guys. In other ways, I mean, you know, was it Friday night? I woke up, or Saturday night. I was just, you know, relaxing in the Atlantic Ocean.
Wow.
Just you know, 10 o'clock
Saturday
at night.
you
just
woke
chilling,
up,
just watching
relaxing?
the stars, watching the airplanes in Miami Beach, and you know, it's a little different here, a little different.
Yeah,
wow,
slightly
just as hot,
different.
but you know, it was a good time. So it was hard to fly home from Miami, but
Your arms are tired?
Hey-o.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Wow,
All right.
wow. Dad jokes.
That was a
begun.
dad jokes.
I didn't even get one in yet.
Yeah. So, you know,
You're
Mike,
already
they
dropping.
do say that 90% of life is showing up. So thank you for doing that today after taking an extra week off.
Yeah.
We're mildly happy to see you here.
What's it like to have the cojones to take the first week of the season off and leave us to have to
That
do
was
it?
strategic.
Is that what it was?
Honestly,
Okay.
like
Like, who
I
wants
was
to go back
waiting
to
for
work?
an Adam Schefter news story like, hey, notably absent from the beginning of work, Mike Clay, Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin, and now James Cook. We'll get into all that.
Yeah,
by
all
the way,
that.
in our
Guys,
mock
I'm
draft.
not sorry at all.
I don't think you are one bit, Mike. But welcome back. It is great to have you. For all the grief that we love to give Mike, he is indispensable to everything we
best.
do here at ESPN Fantasy. You are the engine behind the projections. And the projections, of course, fuel the mock drafts, which we are doing today, 12-team variety.
I love that. I also love the way that you said Mike is the engine and the fuel, just like leading into the NASCAR side of what Mike is as well. I don't know if you did that on purpose.
Can you be the engine and the fuel?
That's what I am.
Engine
Okay.
needs
That's
the
what I do.
fuel, so that's
And
what it's worth.
This is
I'm not
why
a
I like
car
coming
guy.
back, okay. Now I feel good. You know, once Field says something nice about me, I feel good about
Now
being
you're
back.
feeling good.
And by
Now
the way,
I'm good. I
we felt
have energy.
so good about you being back. We gave you the first pick in the mock draft.
We did.
Mock draft?
Sound like my kids saying,
Marriage?
Daddy, can we do mock draft today?
We're going to do a ton. We're going to have a ton, obviously, with this mock draft. Mike's got the first overall pick. I have the 5th pick. Field has the 10th pick. But before we dive into the mock draft, really quickly, we just want to let you guys know, Mike, I think you're going to be here for this, right? Our New York City
consider it,
live
yeah.
show this week, Thursday, August 7th at the Gramercy Theater in New York. Go to fantasyfocuslive.com for the final few tickets that are available. They are $35. You get free food. You get drinks. You get merch. You get a meet and greet. You get to meet Mike, or you have to meet Mike. It's one of those two. I don't know if you get to or if you have to.
Yeah, it's have to.
It might have
Most
to.
people are like rate to field.
Yes.
Stefania, you and I are like off to the side,
On the side.
with
It's not
Liz.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit. What I will say, though, is Mike probably spent more than $35 on each margarita that he consumed.
Accurate.
While
That's
down
not
there
much
in
of a stretch.
Miami. So think
You know how
about
much
the
that
value
golden
you're
margarita
getting.
was?
At the first, yeah.
Really a lot, $49 to be precise. But yes, and then we're also, I think we're going later on to a beach location.
I believe so. Yeah,
Not Miami.
The best beach in town, Baja Mar. That's right. The ESPN Fantasy Football Ultimate Draft Weekend is back for year 2 from August 21st through the 24th in the Bahamas. Enjoy an oceanfront stay at the luxurious Baja Mar Resort and exclusive events like our one-of-a-kind beach combine.
Hey.
Mingle with some celebrity guests and NFL players throughout the weekend, including Todd freaking Gurley, that is his middle name, Golden Tate, and Kyle Rudolph. Then get some insights from your favorite ESPN fantasy football experts before drafting your squad at the epic live draft party. We had a ton of fun doing this last year. Mike, you and I dominated not only the putt-putt golf version of it, but as well the free throw. And well, I don't know if we dominated the three-point line. The free throw, though, we definitely crushed the free throw competition.
Yeah, we did. And do you remember, like, Field hurt his arm or something? Remember that?
Vaguely remember that.
I remember something like that happened.
You know, like, do you like go up to your Chiefs fans, friends in your life, and be like, "Hey, remember that time you guys got smoked in the Super Bowl?"
Yes, I do that all the time.
He does that.
You're a jerk friend.
I was at that game.
Oh, wow. Look at me. I'm Mike.
Wow.
And I go to Super Bowls and I go hang out, on the beach in Miami and take a week off at work. And I'm so valuable that I can take off whenever I want. And
this all sounds like good things you're saying to me. Am I supposed to be upset about this? This is all great stuff.
I'm just saying. I'm doing my impersonation of you. And hey, like, I probably like playing a fantasy league with LeBron.
That's not you. The impersonation is usually a little bit more robotic than that.
My name is Mike, and I have the first pick in the draft.
I love it.
All right,
let's just dive in, guys. We got guys. It's a 12-team mock draft for what it's worth. We had a lot of people asking, can you please do some 12-team mock drafts?
Yep.
We're going to get through as many picks, like you just said, Field, as we can. The roster: 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and 3 bench spots is what we're going to fill out. We're punting on kickers and defenses just for the sake of the time of the show.
But Tyler Loop is available to Mike at number 1 overall.
Yeah, well, look, this, like you guys said, isn't the first time I'm looking at any of these guys since the January?
Probably.
When was the week? 18, January.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. I got to do some research here. I guess I'll take the first guy in the queue. Who sets this order of players?
I don't know, but I want to ask you a question. Make the pick, and I want to ask you.
I'm gonna take Jamar Chase.
Okay, so you're taking Jamar
Consensus
Chase,
number 1 all year.
But let me ask you this question, Mike, because I had this debate with Daniel last week. How close is it between Jamar Chase and presumably Bijan Robinson?
Yeah, I think it is close. I think you could go either way. If you prefer a running back out of the gate, that's just your philosophy, which sometimes it is for me, depending on where I am in the draft.
Yep.
I have no issue with that whatsoever. I think he is the clear-cut number 1 running back, whereas Jamar Chase is the clear-cut wide receiver. You can go either way. You look at the other running backs, they have question marks.
Yeah.
I think you could pick them apart. It's really hard to pick Robinson apart after what he did after, say, week 6 last season.
You know what's interesting is 2 things, and I'm getting better about not reading the replies, but I posted a video last week after our mock draft, and it was Daniel and I debating, like, Jamar versus Bijan.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of the conceit that I gave was if you did 10 drafts, how many and you have the number 1 pick 10 times, are you taking Jamar Chase 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, 5 times? Daniel landed at 50-50, which is about where I am as well. And somebody's the first response was Bijan's the most overrated player in the NFL. And I was trying to think about, like,
why would you say that?
Well, I don't know. Like, there are players that I can understand.
Clearly not true.
I was gonna say, like, I can't figure out like what the argument for Bijan being overrated is. That's neither here nor there. The other thing that I want to say quickly, because Daniel's on the clock here, he can make his pick momentarily, is that I got to be honest with you. Like, Mike is so much more pragmatic than I think Daniel and I are when it comes to decision making. But sometimes, like, recency bias creeps in. And last year, I remember being stubborn to the point that if I had the number 1 pick in a draft and I was like, it's Christian McCaffrey, and I was just keeping my eyes closed to other players. I think it's just healthy in general to have a mindset that, like, even if you think a guy is a deserving favorite to go number 1 overall, you're allowed to argue for somebody else, because you know how hard it is to go back-to-back as the number 1 player in fantasy? The answer is extremely.
I don't know how hard it is, but some of these guys know how hard it is.
Yeah,
I've never been the number 1 overall.
So I think Bijan going number 1 overall is like a lukewarm take. Like, it's a cold take, truthfully. So I think that Jamar, I don't have an issue with Mike's pick, but if he had Bijan, I had taken Bijan instead, I would have been like, I totally get
Makes
that
sense.
as well.
And that's how probability works, because he might be the most likely. Let's just say Jamar Chase might be the most likely player to be the most valuable player in fantasy.
Yeah.
But that might mean he has an 8% chance of being the top player. That's just how probability
Bijan might
works.
be 7.95%.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
Daniel, you're on the clock at pick 5. No surprises up here to this point. Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Justin Jefferson after Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and that puts me in a hot spot here because, Fields, you know that I am not as in on Saquon Barkley as some of our other analysts. And if I had to take the next running back off the board, which in a 12-team league, I really want to make sure that I grab like a running back to like anchor my running back room, I am actually going to take Christian McCaffrey here.
Ooh, you know what's so a couple thoughts here on this one is, first of all, I listened to Saquon on part of my take this morning. He was great, and I'm just so confident that this guy is like a physical rarity that I'm less concerned about the wear and tear from last year than you are, and I think a lot of people are.
Fair.
But what's interesting is that you're like, I'm not going to take the guy who might regress, who's getting older. I'm going to take the guy
coming off injury.
that was a walking injury risk last year.
Yeah, and this is one of those things. I totally understand that, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm making one concession for this player, but I don't make it for the other player. And I want to say this. I was talking to one of our bosses, Scott Clark, at All Biz, obviously great in the War Room. I mean, he's a very good fantasy football player.
Yep.
We were having a conversation about whether or not we've gone too far, especially with guys like Saquon and Derrick Henry, on the older running back in today's game, when you're talking about 29-year-old running backs, guys like Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders and Priest Holmes and Sean Alexander, they didn't put, I don't believe, $250,000 into their body during the offseason like someone like Derrick Henry does on a consistent basis. Technology has just changed, and I wonder if, to the point of what you're talking about.
Are you arguing against yourself?
I'm saying, like, is this one of those things where it's like, even though you see this heavy workload and historically it's something that you want to be, a little bit fearful of, is it just different now with the way that players approach their body and the medicines that they have available to them?
I think we'll see, but also the average age of a top 10 scoring running back over the last 5 years is 24. I mean, it's still a thing.
It's
These
still a
guys
young
still
man's
disappear.
game.
Yeah.
I'm on the clock here at number 10. Just a quick recap from that pick that Daniel made. CMC. Saquon goes next. He goes 6th overall.
Yep.
Puka Nacua 7th. Devon Achane 8th. I'm on Ross St. Brown 9th, which puts me on the clock at 10 with two players I'm going to be choosing between CeeDee Lamb and Ashton Genty. The two options
Are you
here.
surprised that Achane went above Ashton Genty?
I am, but remember tier talk.
Can't fault,
He was just one
not
spot
going to
behind
fault somebody.
I have no
I wanted to
major
bring this
qualms
up now because, like, let's just, I don't know, but get ahead of it, but let's just acknowledge it. Matthew Stafford's back injury seems to get worse by the day. Like, it was like he's not going to practice for a few days to like he's not going to practice this week to like he's doing static throwing. Listen, I'm 38. I might be agent, but Matthew Stafford's he's 37, so he might be agent as well. I feel like Mark Schlereth used to always say this. Nobody used to have a bad back, right? It's like once you have a bad back, you have one forever.
Yeah.
Are we at the point yet where we are thinking about updating Puka Nacua's outlook because of Matthew Stafford's question mark health?
I am not yet. Okay. I would say I'm still in the mild concern, very mild concern with Stafford because I don't see like major alarms being raised by anyone yet. It's just, so are you?
It's just on my brain. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb, by the way, who
that's a great value.
I mean, pick number 10. I get the 6th player in Mike's overall rankings, which is about where I have him as well. We had this conversation, like if it's not Jamar Chase, who is going to end up being wide receiver 1 this year? CeeDee Lamb's got a pretty compelling case to have at worst the 3rd best odds. He sets up for a gigantic year this season. And here we are. We're back almost to me.
Yeah, pick 11 comes off, and it is Ashton Genty. We'll see where we're at the turn here. In the first round, anything crazy other than me taking CMC over Saquon that really catches your eye?
So CMC over Saquon's not crazy in general. It's just odd that you, the guy who's concerned about Saquon, are okay with CMC.
With CMC. Yeah, I totally get that. It's where I decide to draw my line, and you know what? It's my fantasy football team, not anyone else's, so I can decide that I want to do that.
I think going into it's so funny because we think about this like the full season for these players, right? But if you think on a week-to-week basis, it might be week 2, and we clearly have McCaffrey RB1.
For sure.
Because something else you don't think about with Barkley, last year he needed a ton of rushing efficiency, a ton of touchdowns to be very good. Obviously, a lot of volume, but didn't do a lot as a pass catcher.
He won't this year.
Right. So I don't think that's going to change. So whereas McCaffrey, you're going to get big time receiving production when he's on the field. So I don't think that's wild at all.
You are the wrong person to have this conversation with because you, again, are so calculated and able to detach yourself from emotion. But I said this story last week. Like I retweeted a clip of CMC making a great play at San Francisco 49ers camp. And I put some I thought harmless comment about like how, there's a case for him as the best player in fantasy when he's healthy, but that's obviously a gigantic if. The number of people that were just basically like radioactive, I'll never touch him again was resounding. So you are correct. If we get to week 1 and the rankings drop and CMC is healthy, he'll probably be at worst like RB2 in your projections for week 1.
Yeah.
And yet many people are like, I ain't touching CMC this week. I'm back on the clock, by the way.
Yeah, rounding out the first round, we had Malik Neighbors go at pick 12, and then at the turn, Brian Thomas. So that 12 team took 2 high-end wide receivers back-to-back, waiting on the running back spot. Number 11 was Jonathan Taylor Field, grabbing another run back off the board. And where did you decide to go?
Yeah, so I am going to take Bucky Irving here over Derrick Henry, which is a close call. I'm sort of just getting a little bit of exposure in a few different spots. And here's the reason why, is if I were picking more middle of the pack, I would feel comfortable taking an elite wide receiver. I am just concerned about the potential for just a gnarly running back run. If I go wide out, and I don't pick again for 20 selections.
Fair.
Just go down the board, and all of a sudden you're taking yourself to a territory that is like very different value.
You know, one of the things that I love about our ESPN app is that you can actually scroll down that player list and see about where a player is going to come off the board when your next pick is. So it helps you be able to visualize, ooh, these are the running backs that might be available by the time I'm on the clock.
Yeah.
I think maybe I should grab someone now rather than wait.
And by the way, taking Bucky Irving over Derrick Henry is kind of a YOLO call. Like, there's a pretty good case for Derrick Henry to go ahead of Bucky Irving. He is higher than him in my rankings. I don't know. Bucky's just fun. So
He's just having fun with it. Why
I
not?
don't know. It's a mock draft. Is there some rule? Is there a law? I don't know. The Sheriff Mike Clay.
Is there a law?
Isn't that the funny thing about fantasy is you're like, should I take the biggest running back in the NFL or the smallest running back? I don't know what to do here in the early second round.
Sheriff Mike Clay is a good nickname for you, by the way.
It is.
Sheriff.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm picking up a lot of nicknames. Miami Mike, Margarita Mike,
That's
Miller
true.
Mike, Sheriff Mike.
Sheriff, yeah.
Sheriff, one of the infamous Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
That's true.
Sheriff, yeah.
That's true. All right. After Field took Bucky Irving, came off the board, it was Drake London, Nico Collins, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry. I am back on the clock. I've already got CMC on the squad. Basically looking at a wide receiver here. And I've got A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Lad McConkey,
Jameson Williams.
Jamison Williams. They're all staring me in the face. Honestly, though, even though it's not a super pass-heavy offense, I don't know how I can go against A.J. Brown because when that guy dominates, he just dominates at such a high level.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a super pass-heavy offense in 2022 or 2023, and he had over 1,400 yards.
Yeah, he is the
It's a
man.
balanced offense. They just run so much because they're winning all the time, and the
Schedule's
defense
way tougher this year, though.
The schedule is
Way
tougher, and they lost some major pieces on the defensive side of the football. So it
is
could
so
be more
cute.
competitive
Maybe, like,
games.
Yeah, look
This
at
is like
that.
Mike last year, like the Eagles who put in the Giants in week 14. They're like 19.5-point favorites. Mike would be like, have you seen the Giants' third linebacker? Like, that guy's legit.
Look,
We're
this
like,
is what happens when you do fantasy football prognostication and NFL prognostication for over, 15 years now. You just get humbled all the time because this game is so
Nonstop.
chaotic.
Oh, man.
you know, like that could be a close game going into the fourth quarter. The Eagles might be up 31-6. And, like, you just don't know. Like, a 25-point lead is not sacred.
Yeah, there wasn't anyone else I really considered. There was another wide receiver. If you were in my spot looking at those wide receivers, would you have potentially gone with anyone else, or was A.J. Brown clearly the highest rated
He's
wide
still
receiver?
my
for you?
highest rated wide receiver and the only guy left in that tier. That was
Agreed.
best tier 2 for me last week. So
Yep.
I have no issue with AJ going in the middle of the second round.
All right, the next couple picks after A.J. Brown, we had Kyron Williams come off the board, then T. Higgins, then Chase Brown. Rats. Chase Brown has been moving up draft boards.
But I sort of wonder why. Like, is the Zach Moss release that surprising to people?
It's not surprising to me. I think consensus higher on Chase Brown than any of the other rankers at ESPN Fantasy, and it feels like people are just catching up to where I've been all offseason. This guy, I really believe, is Austin Eckler light. I think he's going to continue to be that guy in this offense, and this offense is going to be a top 5 offense again.
Yeah, I was good.
No, I think it seems like the two question marks for Chase Brown is, one, like, they do have to be a little bit mindful of his workload. This is not Derrick Henry in terms of size. 2, the aggression deficiency, if memory is totally accurate last year, wasn't great. This isn't like a 6-yard per carry or a 5-yard per carry back. There was just so much volume, but he's awesome. I mean, end of round 2 in a 12-team league. That's totally fine.
Earlier in the offseason, I was lower on him because I thought they were going to add a legit complimentary
draft
running back.
somebody
Like,
in the third round.
something like that. They never did that, so now he moved well up my rankings too. So I'm with you. Yeah, no doubt. He could finish RB4, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Zap a little bit of the third down.
Samaje Perine. That's
Perine.
part of the reason why I feel I like him in this spot, because Zach Moss didn't scare me, but even behind him is Samaje Perine and Taj Brooks, and neither of those guys scare me from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, one of the clearest paths to a big workload in a great offense too, by the way. All right, I'm on the clock here for 2 picks, and I kind of like what I'm looking at. I took Jamar Chase in the first round, so you might think running back, but I'm not going to force it. I'm just never going to do that. I'd rather fade running back and get a couple superstar players here.
Right.
So I am actually this is probably my
You won't take both tight
second.
ends.
No, I'm not going to do that. This is probably my second favorite area to get a tight end in the draft. I'll talk more about that later, but I'm going to take one here. I'm going to go Brock Bowers. He's just too
quick
much.
question for you. Is it clear and obvious Brock Bowers versus Trey McBride?
No, it's a complete
So
toss-up.
Yep.
I wrote about Trey McBride, and he's been very unlucky in the touchdown department. I think some of it is the way Kyler Murray is utilized, but I think it's bad luck too. It would not shock me if he scored 8-9 touchdowns this season on top of the massive workload. So I think Bowers is the reason I go Bowers over McBride. First of all, they do project very similarly. We saw what Bowers did last year. Better quarterback.
One catch apart, by the way.
Yes, but Bowers.
You just said better quarterback. Geno Smith, you think is a better quarterback?
No, I mean
He is
better
a better
quarterback,
quarterback.
in Los
Got it.
Angeles.
Okay, thank you.
But Bowers is
O'Connell
just
slanders not allowed on this podcast, but
I'm just saying, like, Bowers, just raw talent, athletic ability, just a game changer.
I
It's a
think,
unicorn. I mean, that's a difference maker.
And Field and I had this conversation on Friday when we were talking about where would you take this top tier of tight ends. I said at the 2-3 turn. I think you agreed with me. That's right where we're at, Mike. So this is right in line with sort of what we were thinking.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I'll gladly take Bowers there. And I'm going to stick with wide receiver because I see some really good wide receiver options here.
Okay.
Lad McConkey is who I went with. Tyreek Hill is certainly a fine option here as well. I think maybe Hill has a little bit of a higher ceiling, more likely. If you're going to line up who's more likely to finish top 3 or lead the position in fantasy points, Hill's done it before. Lad, obviously, more of a short-range target, but I think he's the real deal. Young in his prime, on the way up, and certainly could catch 100 passes. So I feel great about him here.
Aren't the vibes weird with Tyreek Hill in Miami right now?
We're gonna do a show soon about like players that can break your
their
heart
defense.
and like yes, that's true, 100%. But yeah,
I didn't love the shot
there.
I didn't love the shot at Devon Achane.
It's
I
weird
think
because
it
was
sounded
accurate.
tongue-in-cheek, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think the organization's probably tired of the tongue-in-cheek Tyreek Hill by now.
You might be, but let me ask you a really quick question. Do you think let's say they start 1-6 or something. Do you think he gets traded?
The problem is he's owed so much money.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to take on that contract?
I think he'll talk about wanting to get traded, whether he does or not.
It just seemed like it would be a no-brainer by Miami to do that if they're struggling.
Daniel's on the clock.
All right. Mike, you ended up going Brock Bowers, then Lad McConkey. Tyreek Hill comes off the board next, then Devontae Adams, then Trey McBride. I was thinking about Trey McBride if he made it to me here as that next
No shockers here.
tight end. No, so far this is pretty chalky is what it feels
The
like
most
to me.
surprising thing, and I'll save it until it actually happens, but go ahead, Daniel.
The hard part is I've sort of reached that point. Can I just say this? I'm at a point where I don't feel like any of these wide receivers that are left really reach like a high-end tier for me. And I don't feel like the running backs are super high-end at that point. The top 2 tight ends just came off the board. So now, we talked during the quarterback show. I actually like waiting at tight end or at quarterback, a little bit to get farther down my tier 1.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at these guys, the quarterback is where I want to go because I think they're the best guys that are on the board, but I want to wait a little bit because I think the value is still good there.
Okay.
So I'm going to pause and go with someone like at the tight end spot. I think I'm probably going to go with George Kittle here.
Wow.
I'm going to go down the board just a little bit and grab my tight end. He is the end of my top tier guys. Field and I said we had tight end 1 and 2 and Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. He is in a tier of his own, but I think there's a drop off between him and that next group of guys.
Yeah, and that's the guy who is my favorite value at tight end. The thing is, he'd usually last longer than this.
Yeah,
so
well, and I've got
a
a
7th in our
I don't
draft.
think that I will be able to get him midway through the 4th. I think if I don't take him here, he will probably come off the board by the time I'm back on the clock.
So the conundrum that I think Daniel was facing at the quarterback spot, again, for those that haven't followed closely, Daniel's right in the middle of the order. Basically in the middle of the order.
Yep.
But so if you start the quarterback run, you're paying the premium because we think that like the difference between QB1 Lamar and QB4, for example, whether that's whoever that is for you, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, is so minimal that why bother pay the 12 to 15 pick premium that probably will exist between quarterback 1 and quarterback 4.
I can wait.
But you also don't like the next. Let's talk about the next running back here, who's going to go off the board any minute now. Maybe I'll influence the pick a little bit. But James Cook right now is not practicing for the Buffalo Bills. So a lot of time to go between now and the beginning of the season. It's August 4th, but that's 1 month until the Eagles play the Dallas Cowboys. Brandon Beane, the GM from the Buffalo Bills, has never had a player miss practice because of a contract issue prior to this. Never. 9 years. He said he described the situation as disappointing yesterday. Wow. It's precarious. And I think the Bills feel as though they've made very fair and generous offers. And I think that the James Cook side doesn't feel that way. Do I think this has an end in sight? I think it has to. I think it would be extremely costly for James Cook to not be available for week 1 of the season. I would just say this. Whoever does take James Cook, you better be ready for somebody else to snipe Ray Davis prior to you taking Ray Davis, because right now he's one of the most important insurance policies in the entire league.
Yeah. What's really fascinating about this is Cook was not a feature back last season. He was in a 3-man committee.
1,007 rushing yards.
He was not in the top 20 in touches or yards among running backs last season.
Touchdowns.
And he wants to be paid like presumably a top 5 running back. And he might be. I mean, maybe, he's super talented, but they don't utilize him that way. So it's a tricky situation where he feels I have the talent to be paid like this. I'm this guy, but they're like, well, we're using a committee, so why would we pay a running back?
He just went off the board, by the way. I just last piece of
really
context,
fascinating.
and I'm only bringing this up because I do think it matters a touch. How many teams have been more aggressive this offseason than locking up their own players in the Buffalo Bills? The answer is not many. Josh Allen, Khalil Shakir, Terrell Bernard, was it Greg Rousseau or one of their pass rushers? They drafted a handful in succession there. Like they got a lot of Christian Benford. They got a lot of business done. It's very notable to me that they got all that business done, all of it, most of it done many months ago.
Early.
And most of it, to our knowledge, pretty seamlessly.
Yeah.
Right? Like, here's our proposal. Here's your proposal. Bam, we make a deal. So James Cook is an interesting one, to say the least. Still
Swear, if he gets traded to the Bengals.
Mike, how are you looking? Just really quickly to close the loop on James Cook. Field mentioned it. He had 16 rushing touchdowns, another 2 receiving touchdowns, 18 touchdowns last year. That's not going to happen again. Do you know what you have your projections for him as far as regression this year? Because it feels like the touchdown regression. I mean, do you still see double-digit touchdowns this season?
I think he'll be near that. Certainly, that offense will generate a lot of scores. I'm trying to look
High-scoring
here
offense,
what
absolutely.
I have projection-wise.
Remember this stuff? Goes to Miami for 1 week and comes back with a bum
I don't
memories.
remember. I don't remember the exact
I just took
numbers.
Amari Hampton, by the way, at 34th overall, which
Did you?
a
I have
little
with-
bit
sorry.
ahead of projection. What's the answer?
12 rushing touchdowns.
Okay,
12.
that's still a
Hey,
big,
that's a
big
good number.
14 total, yeah.
That's a good number.
I took
offense.
Amari and Hampton here. We did our running back tiers show last week, Mike, and I think we agreed. But my statement of projection on Amari and Hampton was basically like, if there's a guy who's like has screams like might just go and become a top 10 running back this year, it's Amari and Hampton. Hampton, first round pick, plenty of pedigree, 4.4 140 or 4.4 40 at 221 pounds. Huge college skill set. Goes to, this team that's got to have this great power rushing attack. He's a power back. The X factor is how much of a role Najee Harris has. Najee could return tomorrow, and he would still have a massive runway to the season, but Najee's still not practicing with minimal clarity on what the return for him to the field is. And then the other question is, Najee is good enough to have a role, but is he good enough to have a role that legitimately takes away from Amari and Hampton's value?
Najee Harris could have 8 to 10 touches a game.
Yeah.
And Hampton could finish RB4. I mean, no doubt about it, especially if that team is competitive and as we expect they will be with Jim Harbaugh. I mean, the AFC's tough. I think they're more of a wild card team than winning that division, but they could do it with Harbaugh leading. But no doubt about it. I agree. He has elite upside.
All right, so I'm going back here, and so we did just see a quarterback go off the board. So Josh Allen went off. Let's just talk about it because I'm picking, Lamar and Josh Allen went. So if I want an elite quarterback, it's now or never because they're not getting back to me 20 picks.
You probably don't. I would probably pass on that.
Yeah,
I'm still like 10 picks away.
I'm taking Jaden Daniels because it's now or never. Jaden, I don't think we need to belabor this point much, but I just am going to reiterate that when you're picking on the extremes, beginning or the end of the round, these are the kind of strategic things that you have to be more mindful of. It may mean that you have to be aggressive relative to where the projections are. When you're right in the middle of the order and you're only 10 picks away, if a guy is, the 8th highest projected player remaining on the board, there's a reasonable chance he will get there. Meanwhile, if you're 20 picks away, a guy could be 28 slots down the board and he might not be there, or he could still be there and you'll have no issue waiting on him. So be a little bit more selective when you're picking on the extremes. We are now into the 4th round, middle of the 4th, rocking and
Heck yeah. All right, Field. So since your Amari and Hampton pick, Garrett Wilson came off the board, plus Lamar Jackson and Breece Hall. Then you mentioned Josh Allen. You took Jaden Daniels.
Yes, I did.
Then we had DK Metcalf, Jalen Hurts, Kenneth Walker, and Chuba Hubbard. So a little mini quarterback run here of that top tier of QBs.
We expect it to happen in draft a lot, right?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I really do want one of the big 4 quarterbacks this year, but that's one of the tricky parts about picking first is I couldn't do it over Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers.
By the way, are you calling it a big 4?
Yeah, big 4 for me.
So is it like a 4.5, or is Joe Burrow clearly a different value?
I'm totally fine with 4.5. I just think it's very hard for a non-running quarterback to put up that elite season, to be that top scorer. Like we're talking about let's just say the big 4, who already went off the board. All of those have a real legit shot to lead the position in fantasy points.
Totally.
Joe Burrow, it's a lot tougher. He's going to have to put enormous passing numbers up, which could happen, but it's hard to repeat. It's just the thing. What he and Baker Mayfield did last year, the amount of passing production they needed to hang with these guys is in NFL history almost unrepeatable. I think what's the number 40 passing touchdowns they both had last year.
Yeah.
There's only been a handful of quarterbacks in NFL history that have done that twice.
Yeah.
And they would have to do it twice to hang in that conversation. So for me, I do think it's hard enough for him that he's a tier down for me.
The only, probably like the strongest argument against your Joe Burrow putting up that kind of passing yardage thing is, and sorry to our producer, Tyler, Daniels already knows like where we're going here, is that I did Google and I looked up the Bengals defensive depth chart and nothing showed up.
There was nobody.
There just wasn't anybody there.
It's just an error.
Yeah, it was just an error. So,
we got 404.
yeah. They just, it was just a big wide open field. It was 100 yards and 53 and a third wide. So
Yeah, I hear you.
I will not be shocked if they score 30 points again
But
per
you can
game.
also, the only thing I will say about Joe Burrow is it feels like there are some guys that could, like the Caleb Williams, the Drake Mays, who are superb athletes who could really take a leap in that regard. I do feel like there is a discount. There's two discount Joe Burrows staring us in the face, right? One's a mini discount, one's a big discount. Mini discount is Baker Mayfield, right? Like Baker Mayfield's going to go in some drafts, like 5 rounds later, and Baker could lead the NFL in passing yards next year. I think it's within his bag.
Is the other one Dak Prescott?
Other one's Dak Prescott, who could easily lead
I'm
the
with
NFL.
you.
I mean, he's
There's so many though. I mean, like you said, Caleb. I mean, you could throw Jordan Love as
the
top 5
archetype-
upside. I mean,
I think the archetype though for Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott's more similar than Caleb Williams.
just because the
like
defense.
I think if
and
Jordan
their-
Love gets there, I think Jordan Love gets there. I'm sorry, if Caleb Williams gets there because he has a big passing year and runs for like 550 yards.
All I'm going to say is when Caleb Williams is under pressure, he's going to have a hard time throwing balls into those pockets in that net. And it's going to be tough.
Lions fans are feasting on that.
I know.
If Kirk Cousins plays the Bucs every week, he'd be a good bet to be
That's fair.
The
That's the next one up.
best version there.
So I'm going to say this.
you're
I
on the
disagree with Mike. I think that Joe Burrow is in a tier with those other guys, and he was the guy that I was hoping was going to make it back to me, especially
great
because we are in a 12-team league.
All right.
One of the things that I wanted to do is at those island position have guys that I feel like give me an advantage over most of the rest of the league.
Yeah.
And getting both Joe Burrow and George Kittle, I think wide receiver is deep enough that I can wait and attack wide receiver a little bit later in the draft. So I started Joe Burrow, Christian McCaffrey, A.J. Brown, and George Kittle. And I will fill in the rest of the squad as we go from there. But that's why I decided I wanted to go with Joe Burrow.
I have an idea. I think that the two of you should concoct some sort of board bet or like at least a cousin of a board bet surrounding Joe Burrow. And the loser has to take a bath in Skyline Chili.
Ooh, I
So
had
what?
Skyline Chili for the first time this last week.
Our producer, Tyler, who's from Cincinnati, I think would suggest that is the single most disgusting idea ever created in humankind.
Oh, I love it.
I like how he had this ready to go, so we had to do
For
it. He
us,
wasn't part of it.
right? He's not going to be part of it. Yeah,
I am Switzerland on Joe Burrow.
that's what it is.
I don't know. I mean,
we'll
I was
think
just,
about that.
I was just reading about how there's flesh-eating amoeba in Miami Beach ocean, so I'm not feeling good about swimming in foreign objects at the moment.
Weren't you just
were just
bragging
there,
about like, hey,
right?
so I'm Mike Clay, and after I got my workout in at Gold's Gym to pump the muscles up a little bit.
No, I didn't do that.
I
I
was
was on
I
vacation.
was taking a nap on the beach in Miami, then I was in the ocean, and
I was.
no big deal. But
Look, I don't have regrets, but also I
no
don't
big
want to
deal.
swim
But
in-
my Speedo is fitting, extra snug because I'm so jacked after
I went from
off
robot
season
to a
off.
tough guy.
Yeah, I hear that. It was a big shift there. All right, after I took Joe
All
Burrow,
right.
Alvin Kamara came off the board, then Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Xavier Worthy. Mike Clay, you are now back on the clock with the last pick of the 4th round and first pick of the 5th round.
Yeah, I'm gonna show some serious discipline here. First of all, with those 5 quarterbacks on, I'm not taking a quarterback here, no doubt about that.
Now you're waiting.
Obviously, I have a tight end. I have 2 receivers. I am going to take 1 running back here, though. I'm not going to force both of them. I'm going to take James Conner. I know that Trey Benson is going to have a larger
this?
workload this season. What?
That feels like news or noise. Did you guys hear it?
I think
did.
it's news to a little bit of an extent, but I'm not going all the way. I don't think this is a 50-50, but I do think he will play a larger role and could share some more of the carries. However, James Conner, since he entered the league, has the best catch rate among running backs in the league. He's very effective
Really?
in that area.
Dump
Yeah.
off city, baby.
So he's not, he's still going to have a role there, and he's still a very good football player, and I still think he has something left in the tank. So I feel
Just,
comfortable with him at the turn here.
Just to remind people that maybe don't sit around on Twitter all day while they're in the ocean in Miami like Mike does. I think it was James Conner himself who
It was.
said, yeah, Trey Benson's going to have a big role. It's kind of like, RB1 and RB1A. Mike,
What?
back to you.
Oh, I thought you were finishing your thought there. I was waiting for the...
I listened to either the offensive coordinator or the run game coordinator earlier on, I feel like, in the week, and they said James Conner's clearly still our guy. It feels like James Conner was being nice to Trey Benson a little bit.
He's got some veteran savvy to him.
Yes, I agree with that.
We hear that all the time, too. People, sometimes they'll talk about the coaches, too. Someone will ask about the fourth string running back. Yeah, we expect them to play a big role for us this season. I mean, that could be on special teams,
But honestly, like back in like April, when we were doing some early focus planning meetings, we're like, yeah, Mike would be great if he was on the show a little more, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I play a role here. Okay, it might be special teams part-time, but I'm doing it.
Wow.
A guy that's only going to be contributing for me part-time this season, I would imagine, is Rashee Rice. That was my next pick here. I do expect him to be suspended for a few games this season. However, when he plays, I expect him to be a fantasy powerhouse, one of your favorite guys last season. And that was a great pick. I mean, he was crushing. He was going to be a potential league winner. There's more competition in this offense this season, but I think they're going to shake it up. I think they're going to be more explosive play based. I think they're going to pass it a little bit more.
Sure.
The way they built their team suggests they'll do that as well. If you think about them focusing on wide receiver and pass catcher over the backfield. So I'm fine in this format to hold down the fort for a few weeks if he's out, because I'm going to have a guy like Rashee Rice the rest of the season.
And I was going to say, this is where I like Rashee Rice. I think his ADP is appropriately dropped based on what we believe a suspension will be. Not sure how many games it's going to be, obviously, but at the wide receiver spot, it's so much easier than any of these other positions to grab a guy and fill in how many ever weeks you need with Rashee Rice out. Yeah. It's so deep, right? That if you know that you're going to get 12 weeks of Rashee Rice at full volume, that's what you're looking for. I can stand not having him for the first month of the season with somebody else that I can plug into my flex
By all
spot.
accounts, the injury is in a pretty good spot right now for Rashee Rice.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all.
Health concerns are pretty minimal.
All right. Since then, just a quick recap here.
I love the last pick.
Yeah, how about that?
Absolutely love it from Player 4. Travis Hunter. Player 4, shout out to you.
Yeah.
I don't know who that was. If they can whisper it into our ear who it was, shout out. Brian, good job. I think I might be shifting my mentality on Travis Hunter.
Really?
Okay.
I do. And this is a bit of an about face. So I'm only going to do it when I finally make my decision, I'm going to stamp my approval and just leave it be and see where the chips fall. You think about it more and more. This guy, and I thought, and this is not, go back, check all the receipts here. I thought this was clearly the best player in the past draft. And I thought, and I said this because I was asked it 950 times. So I said it 950 times in response. I think the upside is even higher at wide receiver than it is at cornerback, which is take nothing away from Travis Hunter's cornerback ability. Liam Cohen, their head coach, going to call plays. Offensive guy. I think it's incredibly difficult for a team that is A, coached by an offensive-minded head coach, and B, needs its quarterback to get right, to be like, you know what, we really got to rein in Travis's offensive snaps because we kind of need him on defense too. I think they're going to have a hard time resisting that temptation. And I understand that, I don't expect Travis Hunter to play 0% of the defensive snaps or 100% of the offensive snaps, but I'm starting to think more and more that we lean towards a significant offensive role for Travis Hunter. And if I told you, and nobody can tell you this with certainty other than, I guess, the Jaguars themselves, that Travis Hunter was going to play between 72 and 80% of the offensive snaps, how high would he be ranked in your wide receiver rankings?
Maybe a little bit higher, but...
wide receiver 40?
Yeah, a little higher than wide receiver 40. The problem is we have these guys who only focus on offense, who are top picks, that are clear receivers and good offenses that are wide receiver 3s or flexes or look at Marvin Harrison last year.
Yes,
look how we
the
perceived
talent of Travis Hunter is superior to most of the guys that we're talking about.
Well, I mean, Harrison was viewed as the next superstar. I mean, you have to consider that if he is playing on both sides.
That you don't know versus actually is an advantage, right? We haven't seen the bad film yet from Travis Hunter. It's possible it exists.
Yeah.
You're just banking on the projection. So I don't know. I think I might be a Travis Hunter optimism guy now.
Silly question here, Field, but all things you, the draft guy here, he seemed to just have a stellar reputation. He seems to be a kid that just gets it, right?
Yes,
coming out of college. But he also made this statement, and I'm not trying to play both sides here. If I can't play both offense and defense, I don't want to play football. Was that taken out of context?
I think it was more hey, I wouldn't make your plan to only utilize me on one side.
So at what point do you think, does he get upset with the team being I want to be on the field more? You drafted me to also be our defense sucks.
He's going to play both sides. I think as long as he's playing well, he'll be happy. Like they're not going to play him.
Okay.
20%
Also,
both
what
seasons.
do you think Jacksonville has it in them to have 2 top 20 receivers? I
Totally.
mean, we love Brian Thomas. I mean, he's got.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's
I think it's gonna be tough.
My
I
point
think
is this: is that like right now his goading is like going in some cases like wide receiver 40. I just think the upside for Travis Hunter, if he's playing 75% of the offensive snaps, is superior to so many of the guys that are going ahead of him. From like wide receiver 25 to wide receiver 30.
Look, I think where he went here is fine. Like, would I take him over Rashee Rice or? I mean,
there's still some guys on the board I would take over him.
Yeah, I mean, I have them ranked higher.
it.
I'm just saying I don't think it's a massive stretch at this point. But
I agree.
Anyone
like him having a better season than
a few
any of
picks
the
earlier,
following.
though,
Listen
it
to
gets
this.
tough.
Next receivers. Here we go. Zay Flowers, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley,
Mm-hmm.
Monte Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Jamison Williams, George Pickens. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Travis Hunter could have a better season than any of those guys. Daniel, you are on the clock.
I don't think that's a stretch.
It's not a stretch, but I also don't think it's going to happen. For what it's worth,
We got to get moving. Sorry.
Yeah, we got to get moving here. I'm going to go with another running back when I look at this spot. I feel like we get to a point where I'm worried about the drop off by the time that I get back to me at pick 68. So I've got a ways to go. I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift here, another hopefully good pass catching running back. I just made a joke about Caleb Williams not throwing footballs into a net. I do hope that he can find DeAndre Swift. It was just a joke.
It's okay.
It's the internet.
You're a Lions fan. Dude.
But
you should make that joke.
I would no, that's not true. I want
you
Caleb
should.
Williams to be good this season for what it's worth.
You don't.
No, you don't.
For fantasy
as an
football,
analyst.
I talked about him as one of my as an analyst. I want him to be good.
Mike,
so I
to
took
see Jackson Dart
DeAndre
really hit
Swift.
the Giants this year. Okay.
Right now, my
Brian
team.
Schottenheimer feels like the next Bill Belichick.
I do like Swift, though. I feel like, much like Chase Brown, he's a guy that we thought they'd had a competition for. They never did. He's still, 25, maybe 26 now? I mean,
Yep.
he should
Kyle
be there clearly
Monangai
back.
is the only one that was added over the draft. It doesn't feel like Roshan Johnson is scaring anyone at this point. So
Agreed.
I got Joe Burrow, CMC, DeAndre Swift, AJ Brown, and George Kittle as the start of my
We're
lineup.
ripping. I don't know who 6 is, but we're ripping right now.
Coming up, Calvin Ridley comes off the board next. We're kind of in that spot now where people start to say, ugh, you're always, whenever you do your home draft, someone says, I don't like anyone on the board here.
I don't know any of these guys.
It's like you still got so many good names. I get it. They're not superstars, but you just listed a bunch of wide receivers that are still going to be like almost set it and forget it wide receivers.
The larger issue is that it's just a giant. The tiers become larger.
So big.
The deeper you go
Correct.
into the
That's
draft.
what
It's just,
happened.
like, who do I take from all these similar players, especially a wide receiver?
My C tier was like 15 wide receivers.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm on the clock next year, and I'm just telling you, like DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Jamison Williams, George Pickens feel quite comparable to me.
Yeah.
So I will wait, and I will wait.
Yeah, after my pick of DeAndre Swift, we had Calvin Ridley come off the board, then Zay Flowers, then Devontae Smith, a little bit of that wide receiver run that we were just talking about with those top wide receivers on the board.
Joe Mixon's going to hang around.
I was just going to say, he's staring us in the face right now. George Pickens comes off the board.
George Pickens, again, that like George was ranked lower than guys like DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Jamison Williams. And my response to him going first was, I have no response. It's a totally reasonable call. I'm going with Jalen Waddle. We talked earlier about
like this.
Tyreek
Love
Hill
it.
and some of the vibes being a little bit off there. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not crazy and 10 being very crazy, like how crazy would it be for Jalen Waddle to be the Dolphins' best receiver this year?
Not crazy.
Not at all.
Be like a 3, right?
Yep.
So you're getting him, 3.5 rounds later. I am good with
It's been a couple of years since he's had a big season. It's really 2 years in a row now because I believe the year before he was injured quite a bit. But
he has
that
in the
bothers me
bag.
a little bit. But also, like, this is, we believe, one of the better top 20, 25 receivers in the NFL. And it's a good situation where they're going to have to throw a lot. The defense, struggled last season. And also, I think Tyreek Hill said something else of interest to me, which is that they need to run the ball more. That's something we've seen the Chiefs do the last couple of years when they're facing so much too high when they had
Correct.
Tyreek Hill on the team.
Yep.
They adjusted. Miami has to do that. Maybe that's
What
a Jalen
happens?
Wright. Maybe this is a Jalen Wright comment.
Maybe some Ollie Gordon too. And
Yeah, I think they need to adjust because they faced too high the most last year, and we saw Jonnu and Achane have big seasons. We saw Tyreek and Jalen Waddle struggle, so it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust. And I think if Mike McDaniel wants to stick around, he's going to have to do that.
God damn it.
Did you get sniped?
Sniped. I was so positive this player wouldn't go off.
Who was it? Tell me what happened. All
Ryan
right.
Henderson. What a great pick by
Yeah.
Team 12. Did you guys see what happened in the Patriots scrimmage a couple nights ago?
Tell me more.
I did.
Andre Stevenson, did he fumble the ball a lot last year?
He sure did.
Had some problems.
First scrimmage, he fumbled the ball as well. Like, are we positive Ramondre Stevenson's even the starter week 1?
No, you don't draft a guy in round 2 to be a backup. I mean, or just not play. That's too much of a premium pick.
Correct.
No
we're
doubt he's
aligned
going to have a big
there.
role.
So I think Henderson's one of the great values on the board right now amongst
Any
all
worries about size or anything? Some limitations?
I think what he needs to be is they need to have somebody, whether it's Ramondre Stevenson or Antonio Gibson, play like what we were describing from Najee, 8 to 10 touches per game. He's more the Lightning than the Thunder. Quinshad Judkins and him worked really well at Ohio State together last year, but I think he's just way better.
I think I'm coming around more to guys that are like a hair under 200 pounds because the NFL running back position is just different. There's so few feature backs. So these guys that can't do 25 touches don't need to anymore because there's so few guys getting that. And we're seeing a list of players like Achane and Bucky Irving that
he's
are
the
able
Bucky
to hold
Irving of this year's class.
Yeah,
Not
I think
because of the size,
no doubt.
he's bigger than Bucky, but I
think I mentioned that in his
he's
profile,
he's the backup running back. I don't think it would last for long. Would not last for long. Let me ask you guys a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy would it be if Rome Odunze takes over as the Bears wide receiver 1 this year?
I would be surprised just because DJ Moore is so good, but I would not be surprised if it's close.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say that similar things. DJ Moore didn't show always great body language and wasn't able to maybe keep his emotions in check last year. If there's a struggle this year, I could potentially see something like that happening.
So it's possible. At least,
Yeah, I'd put it like a 4 or a 5.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
I asked the same question about Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and that's why I took Rome Odunze. I took him next.
So for what it's worth, Field Yates, you took Jalen Waddle. Just to recap some of the recent picks for those listening at home. Yeah. After Field took Jalen Waddle with the 10th pick of the 5th round, came Jamison Williams, Trevion Henderson, Teteroa McMillan, DJ Moore, and then Field took Rome Odunze there, doubling up on the wide receiver spot, Field Yates.
Yeah, let's try to chat, all of us, me included. We're going to try to get through these last 4 rounds here. We can do it. I have confidence.
TJ Hawkinson comes off the board before Sam Laporta. That's not how I have him ranked. Do you guys would you put them in the same tier, TJ Hawkinson and Sam Laporta? And is that crazy or are you good with that?
No, same tier for me. Remember, I had Travis Kelce ranked ahead of both.
Oh, that's right.
Really?
Yes,
I have Laporta over Hawkinson. I do think there's a little bit of a tier gap there.
And then after that, we had Patrick Mahomes come off the board and Jacoby freaking Myers.
Whoa.
While I'm recapping, you take Jacoby Myers?
Wow.
Which one of you did this?
Of all people to get furious about.
I love Jacoby Myers.
Your thoughts on Jacoby Myers?
Oh, I love him, but that's like he's like the boring guy that everyone's like, all right, I guess I'll settle on Jacoby Myers.
But I waited a wide receiver. I filled out all of my other spots. It's either him or Jerry Jeudy, and you know what? I think Jacoby Myers is a much safer bet at wide receiver this year than Jerry Jeudy.
Might be safer, but Jeudy outscored him last year.
Oh, I'm so Jeudy. But that Browns quarterback situation,
a lot of good receivers.
Dang
There's so many good receivers. Like I don't think I'm going to get mad about missing out on a receiver this year ever.
How to pronounce the last name of the Browns' projected starting quarterback?
No.
No.
Joe?
No, Pickett. Joe Pickett?
No. Wow.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
If I had waited on DeAndre Swift, the running backs that are on the board here are Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, Caleb Johnson, and RJ Harvey. Still some nice running backs. I just don't need a third one. I really need a second wide receiver here.
You make the trade or make the draft to trade the player.
Yeah,
I think
you do have some options. I don't dislike Jerry Jeudy. Chris Godwin's still on the board, but I get nervous about the injury history. I love Chris Olave, but that quarterback spot.
This is what I mean. There's so many guys in this area. I think I wrote about this for the 192 where like there's a bunch of guys here who could finish top 15 at receiver and would not surprise us at all. Some of them probably will.
All right. I guess because of that, I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy. Wow. I'm going to hope that everything that we saw from him last year that continues here this year, that the Cleveland Browns saw too much of what Jeudy can do when they put the ball in their hands for them to be like, you know what, we got to go another direction.
He's good. No surprise there.
Yeah, speaking of receivers who could finish top 15 and wouldn't shock us, Cooper Kupp, next pick. That's one of the guys I was thinking about. Would not shock me.
Really?
You know what's interesting is that Cooper Kupp went ahead of, and I get it, Chris Godwin's got a little bit of an injury thing that, maybe not a little bit, a legitimate injury thing that we are monitoring. Yeah. But Stephon Diggs versus Cooper Kupp.
Close call.
Close call.
I think it's a very close call. Remember, Diggs is still, I know he's back now, but he is still coming off a season at his age in which he tore his ACL. I mean, is he going to be the same guy this year? That's hard to say.
Yeah, he did not begin the season on PUP, which was encouraging.
Yep.
So by all accounts, he's trending in the right direction health-wise, but interesting.
Yeah.
I prefer Stephon Diggs to Cooper Kupp.
See, I can get mad about running backs going both Harvey and Caleb Johnson back-to-back here. I was hoping to get one of those guys at the turn here.
Wow.
All I have is James Conner. Yeah, so I'm going to I'm on the clock here. I'm going to take a shot here on a guy who very well could be ready for week 1 in a clear feature back, and I don't know that Nick Chubb or Woody Marks are guys I'm too afraid of. So I'm going to take a chance here that Joe Mixon's going to be good to go this year. A little risky. I'm a little old at the running back position. I don't love that, but there's still room for me to
So the
to
most
work on this.
fascinating part about the Joe Mixon situation is that like they just don't have a good option behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just don't. Like Nick Chubb, it's funny. Like and there's all this uncertainty surrounding Joe Mixon, and yet D'Amico Ryans, the head coach for the Texans, also talked very openly and honestly about Nick Chubb. Oh, here's Daniel. Look at this.
I
What a teammate.
saved it because
What a
I wanted
teammate.
to talk about it on today's show.
Okay, just read it.
So
You're better.
D'Amico Ryan and Nick Chubb said, guy's age. He's been through a lot. It's not always going to be the same as his early years in the NFL, but what I hang my hat on with him is that this guy loves football. He is physical. He plays and prepares the right way. Really sharp guy in the protection scheme. Those honestly aren't things that I want to hear from the
I know, I
coach
was
when I'm
gonna say, it
drafting
makes
a
me
I'm
wanna
going to
running
draft
back.
Woody Marsh.
Those all
Yes.
I was gonna
Yes.
say Mike is all those things, and he stinks at fantasy. It's a joke, guys. Mike is a dominant fantasy football player.
I know that.
for me.
There you go. That's for yes. We
He'll
did
put
get that
this
for
aside
you.
here. Should I just hang on to this here? It says, please be patient. I suck at fantasy football.
Oh, it
This is a
actually
gift
sucks
for me.
playing with you guys because we have annoyingly good fantasy football players in this.
You know what?
studio
Don't
right
tell Field I said this, but his team looks good.
All right, coming off the
Where'd you
board.
pick it?
Oh yeah.
now. 10.
All right, Joe Mixon. Mike took Joe Mixon. After that, it was Chris Godwin, who we just talked about. Isaiah Pacheco. Big discount on Isaiah Pacheco this year. We just
talk
mentioned
about
that he was hurt and that he was going to be there as part of the conversation. And then Travis
listening.
Kelce and Bo Nix comes off the board.
Mike, let me ask you this. Bo, great value there, quarterback. And Daniel, you're up, so you can make your pick as well. But
Easy.
in a world in which Chris Godwin's back on the field by week 4, do you think there's a chance by like week 6 you're like, oh, top 12 wide receiver Chris Godwin?
Well, look, last year he was a top 2 receiver when he was healthy, and this isn't. I know this was a serious injury. It wasn't your traditional like torn ACL or Achilles or something like that. So I am hopeful he can get back in an offense like you talked about. That's going to be there's going to be so much volume through the air, so many scoring opportunities. So at this point in the draft, and by the way, I did move him way down because of the injury concerns. But at this point in the draft, I'm still fine throwing the lottery ticket or buying the lottery ticket.
I would have taken Chris Godwin if he made it here back to me because I only had one starting wide receiver. I didn't want to take him as my second starter, just given the injury history.
Yeah.
However, he didn't make it back to me, Mike, because you took him. I'm on the board, and I ended up going with David Montgomery. I think he's the highest running back available to me. It gives me a third running back to be able to have in a
about it there.
12-team league. I don't mind this
Highest
here.
running back available to you? Like, is he enjoying?
He is the most. He is the most, highest
high.
ranked. Yes, that's what it is. The highest
Most
ranked
high
running back. Did I say
running back.
most high running back?
No, you said he's the highest.
He's the
running
highest
back.
running back. That's funny.
What are the implications there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Him and Calvin Johnson have been hanging out. All right, so after that, David Njoku comes off the board. If you're a Detroit fan, you maybe know where that comes
Yes,
from.
and I love that
Mark
pick.
Andrews, as well. Right after that, back-to-back tight ends, Field Yates. So you had Travis Kelce, David Njoku, and Mark Andrews come off the board here recently.
Yeah, they have. So I actually really like this tier of tight ends, by the way, because I just think that there are 2.5 players that have really strong upside at tight end.
Every year this tier gets us. We're always like, it's so
No.
deep.
I
These
think
guys, they always get us.
I just think Evan Ingram, by the way.
I've given
I
up
love
on
it.
I've given up on tight end is deep this year.
No,
It's every
we,
year.
we said this. I mean, we owned it on Friday. We are like, this position sucks compared to the rest. This
Thinnest.
year. What I do feel like is that I don't expect tight end 7 to finish as tight end like 3. I just think that like tight end 7 has like a, if you look at all of the ranges for tight end 7, it feels like 70%
Very
of them are
narrow.
like tight end
Yes,
5 to tight end 10.
yes.
So and
would agree
in
with
a
that.
league in which we have to pick a tight end because we're filling out a mock draft, I'm cool with Evan Ingram.
But that's kind of why I want one of those top 3. And then if I miss on the top 3, sometimes I'll settle on Laporta as well if he's in the right range.
So let
But
me
after
throw
that, I just
something-
don't feel great
Let me
about
throw
it.
something your way, Mike, as we continue through these picks right here. If you take a tight end early, like a Brock Bowers or a Trey McBride, are you also willing to take a quarterback early? Because
Yes.
that could thin the. Okay.
Yep, I have some content coming out, the 192, and also my Ultimate Draft book, which comes out for
Playbook.
next year. No, the Ultimate Draft guide which is where I go round by round and I talk about exactly that topic. This is a unique year, and yes, I will go early on both positions. I did not do it here, but had I been drafting somewhere else in the order, I would have taken one of the big 4 quarterbacks as well as a tight end. I did that often during our mock draft project.
Like it.
Totally
All right.
fine with that.
I'm one pick away, and I have the potential to get one of my kind of low-key favorite targets. It's really boring, but at certain points of the draft, it's okay to draft boring. It's just really a depth inning.
You took Evan Ingram, Field, and then after that, Javonte Williams, Chris Olave, and Tyrone Tracy's coming off the board.
Yeah,
Mike, who do you
Tracy's a
think
nice
it
pick
is?
right there, by the way. Cam Scadaboo has missed the past few days of practice. We'll keep an eye on when he returns. I keep saying this about Tyrone Tracy. I think Scadaboo probably has a higher ceiling as a player, but Tracy is a totally reasonable player to have a decent role for the Giants.
I think Tracy in that mock draft project was my most drafted player. So
Yeah,
I'm with
he's
you,
solid.
no doubt.
He's
Where he
solid.
goes in drafts, he's totally worth the cost.
Tony Pollard was the player that I was talking about. It was just boring.
Ooh.
You know,
Oh, I
like
like
a
it.
solid
Yeah,
third
yeah,
running back.
that's
He had
fine.
over 300 total touches last year.
Yeah.
Not much has changed in that backfield. The offensive line should be better on paper.
That's the 8th round. I
He
mean,
really held up well last year in a 12-team league, by the way.
yeah, I think he'll play a little less. I think we actually will see more Spears. I
Yep.
think there's kind of fire where there's smoke with that one this year with all those reports, but he can afford less of a workload.
Yep,
And
in the
by the way,
8th
the
round.
offense should be better, you would think. I mean, if Cam Ward's not terrible, the
Pollard
offense should be
was
better.
like running back 11 by the end of the season in terms of our weekly rankings. It was like, oh, he's right on the fringe of.
He's one of them boring guys, yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Right before you was J.K. Dobbins coming off the board.
Like I would prefer Tony Pollard kind of clearly to J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins
Like,
clearly splitting time in that backfield, not in the same way with
Round 2
Pollard and Tajay
now,
Spears.
that being said, one of the things about J.K. Dobbins that I think he has going that I don't believe Tony Pollard has going is like I think there's a chance, not saying it's a great chance, but like J.K. Dobbins could get 15 rushing touchdowns this season because it's an elite offensive line. Like the fact that the running game stunk last year was such a running back stat and such a not offensive line stat. They actually led ESPN's run block win rate as an offensive line, did the Broncos last year.
I think passing and running, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. Yeah.
They led the league in both, and yet they protected Bo Nix very well, and they passed the ball well, and they just, well, it's Javonte Williams and whatever, like Audric Estime, and just
That's actually.
No! Why? Guys, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to scream
Stop
out
being
loud.
mad
I
about
thought
wide
that was
receivers.
internally. I wanted Deebo Samuel so badly here.
you have quite a taste.
Yeah, what is happening?
What do you mean? I just like this is. I'm at a spot where I've got to figure out where it is that I want guys to come off the board. Deebo was like a little bit farther down this list. There's a couple other wide receivers. I don't love Stephon Diggs as much as you guys do. I just think I'm out.
Love is a strong word. I just think it's
Okay, that's fair. He should be the clear-cut number one in that offense. Drake May should be looking for him. Not the same to me. Jordan Addison, I like Jordan Addison. It's actually probably where I'm going to go here. There was also Khalil Shakir that I was considering, but Deebo, I mean, just with all the Terry McLaurin stuff, like if there is a shot, if there's even a chance that Terry McLaurin gets traded, Deebo would get drafted 2 rounds earlier than this.
I don't know. The thing about
would you
Deebo
not move him at all?
Are they really going to feature him if McLaurin wasn't there? I mean, how much more do you give a guy that cannot? I mean, he's literally never played a full season. I mean, at this point, is he kind of maxed out?
the latest
I-
rumors that the offer is something to the effect of Terry McLaurin in exchange for Saquon, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and Jalen Carter. So
Hard
I
to
don't,
pass on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think I'm going to go with
For
Khalil
Parsons-
Shakir.
Parsons
I changed
for
my mind. I said Jordan Addison, but I think Khalil Shakir is going to be my guy.
Shakir, by the way, is going to miss. Sounds like maybe up to like 5 weeks.
Yep.
Got a high ankle sprain.
Yep.
Yeah, he's tough for me. He's one of the tougher guys to rank because he's like a boring rank, but also he has no ceiling. Like he's just nothing.
7 touchdowns in 3 years for Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
I think he's going to catch close to 100 balls again in an offense that's going to be close to a top 5 offense. And right now, it's just me being able to, especially with a guy like AJ Brown, I just want a nice floor.
There will
Khalil
be a
Shakir is a
s-
floor guy.
We're into
Yeah.
sleepers and I think busts at some point, but sleepers for sure. And there will be a bill that makes the list, not named Khalil Shakir.
Ooh, all right. Excited to see who that is. Since I took Khalil Shakir, Juwan Jennings, and then Jordan Addison came off the board back-to-back, I looked at both of these 49ers wide receivers, but because of the build that I have, where I also have CMC and George Kittle, I just couldn't go. This isn't best ball. I couldn't like go all in on the 49ers like that.
Yeah,
So
Mike, you're down to your last, 2
I am. I'll take my quarterback here, Kyler Murray. I don't need to. I could have waited. There's a lot of similar options, but I'll pounce on him and get a guy I
You have
feel will
to
be a
quarterback
weekly
in this-
starter.
if you weren't drafting right now and with a shortened league that we're drafting, would you have continued to wait for a number of rounds at the quarterback spot, or would you have pulled the trigger pretty quickly?
Maybe. I think Kyler, I feel comfortable enough with him as a QB1. I'm fine to take him
Okay.
here. But,
All right.
you know, some of these other guys away. And then otherwise, I thought about a wide receiver here, but I am going to throw a dart at a young running back because I need some youth at that position. I'm going to go Cam Scatabo. I just hope he's the real deal and takes that job.
I think he's a real deal. And I think the question is that, like, last year I should have been, like, way more sensible about this. Like, Tyrone Tracy taking over for Devin Singletary as soon as he did should have been, like, the most obvious, likeliest path. It felt, but during training camp, it was like, yeah, there goes Devin Singletary once again, toting the rock with the number ones, right? Like, feels like Tyrone Tracy will not fade in the way that Devin Singletary faded to the point where
And
he was
he's a
getting like
f-
3 carries a game.
It's tough for them day 3 running backs because they almost never pan out. And Tracy wasn't like great last year, but he was, he's a weekly starter in 12-team league.
Yep.
So you're no doubt that's why the construction of a depth chart matters, and that's why we're talking up guys like Chase Brown or even Travion Henderson, same kind of situation there. RJ Harvey in Denver. There's a lot of guys like that.
I'm on the clock again. Since your pick, Mike, you took Cam Scatabo, then Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Travis Etienne came off the board. I'm going to go with another wide receiver because I already have Khalil Shakir. I don't want to double up on wide receivers, although
not?
Keon
Don't
Coleman might be there.
Yeah, why not?
Might be an option. Michael Pittman, Jaden Reed. I don't really need another quarterback or tight end, just given how good my quarterback and tight end are, and Joe Burrow and George Kittle. So, boy, the question is, do I do that? Maybe I just take Keon Coleman and I'm going to have one of the
over your boy
better
Jaden
guys.
Reed.
It's a tough one because Jaden Reed is a guy that I do love, but I think I'm going to go with Keon Coleman and kind of play that upside game. Maybe I
like
get the
that.
floor,
You took a floor guy. Now you got a.
and now I get a ceiling guy.
I also come to appreciate something that Daniel does. I feel like when Mike are on the clock, it's like, all right, here we go. I'm taking Jaden Higgins. I like you exhaust.
I try to go through. Yeah, I've thought about these guys just so that you guys knew
Mike
where
and
my
I
head.
We
narrow
know the
mind.
right answers though already.
Oh, that's
so we
what it
just-
is. I need to show my work. You guys can just put the answer
We've
down.
already seen the sin. All right, so we have really entered a fascinating
That's-
time of the draft, right? Because a lot of the players just look very similar. It's going to just be a matter of preference here. But
Yep.
I'm hoping and praying that I get the guy that I want.
After I
top
took
guy,
Keon Coleman,
top guy in the queue is one of my favorite deep sleep. I don't want to say deep sleepers. One of my favorite sleepers this year, Michael Pittman. Just so talented. I mean, he was top 20 3 years in a row before
I know.
last year, and now he's still sitting here as a double-digit round target.
I
Take big-
bypassed him for Rashid Shaheed,
Yes.
by the way, who was excellent last year for the
Ooh,
Saints
yeah.
before he got hurt.
so good.
I mentioned this to somebody yesterday, and I got some feedback. All right, I'm going to stop short of declaring this as like the clear favorites. But if you had to pick a team that picks number one next year in the draft, who you
The
taking?
Saints and Browns. Yeah,
All right, those are
top
the
two.
two. Okay, so yeah, I am the biggest concern for Rashid Shaheed is just like, is he playing in a low functioning offense?
Yeah.
And the answer
Probably.
Probably yes.
The odds are very good that they're going to struggle badly this year.
But
maybe they won't.
is
but
I
odds
want to
are
get
good.
ahead of this. I want to just, I don't know, I just slam the table rather than like I should've
do it.
planted
Yeah,
a
we
flag.
heard.
Yeah, plant flag.
We felt
Plant a flag. How serendipitous would it be if the Saints had the number one pick in the draft, and the Saints, who have not picked a quarterback in the first round longer than anybody else in the entire NFL. I mean, it's 50 years.
Is there a former quarterback that played for that team that maybe could have a tie?
Yeah, perhaps. So maybe there's this kid named Arch Manning.
Yes.
Who, by the way, is from New Orleans, played his high school ball there, and is the grandson of Archie Manning, who was the last first-round quarterback the Saints have taken. Isn't that wild?
That'd be a cool story.
That would be cool.
Wild.
That would be cool. All right. Since that pick, for what it's worth, Field took. I'm going to go back. I took Keon Coleman after that. Tank Bigsby, then Jaden Reed, then Jordan Mason and Austin Eckler. Field takes Rashid Shaheed, then Tucker Kraft, Colston Loveland. These tight ends are not like the ones that we took earlier on. In the draft.
Loveland, maybe. I mean, a rookie tight end has led the position in fantasy points the last two seasons. Who's the most likely to do it this year?
It would be
probably Loveland. It could be
Probably
Warren,
Elijah Arroyo, maybe.
the rest of the
maybe.
chat doesn't respect Mike, but I do, so I took Michael Pittman Jr., who was still available even after Mike hyped
I was
him
hoping
up.
I shouldn't have
Oh,
talked
dang
about him.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
He would have not made it back to me.
Tucker Kraft, Colston Loveland, Rashad White, Emeka Ibuka. Then
Yeah, how about that
Field
one?
took Michael Pittman. I like this. I
But
like
that one meaning
Ibuka is interesting to me. I
Yeah.
think if Godwin, Evans, and McMillan are healthy, it's going to be really tough for him to be a consistent fantasy starter. However, 2026,
stock up.
Yeah.
If he made it back
I
to
mean, if
me,
Godwin's
Yes.
out, maybe he's
What's-
fine. But
What stocks are doing well these days? Bitcoin still doing well?
Bitcoin's still doing
don't
very
know.
well. It's not a stock,
Bitcoin?
but yes, it's doing well. Yeah,
Bitcoin. How about wasn't Abercrombie and Fitch red hot recently too?
probably. I don't
And
know.
I'm not being funny.
I'm not. Yeah,
guy with
that's a
his
great
big
question.
money throwing money around in the stock market. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I don't drink $38 margaritas.
I spend all my
and-
money
That's
on
because he spends
vacations. I don't need to retire. I'm doing this till I die.
I'm retiring now. Oh, that's amazing. All right. After that, we ended up having Justin Fields, Luther Burden, Jack Besh, and Justin Herbert.
I want
Emeka
some Besh
Ibuka.
hype. Can we get some Besh hype?
Yeah,
Come on.
give me a little bit of love here.
I feel
on
like
Jack
the
Besh.
hype's
I
not
love Jack
there. It's
Besh.
Deontay Thornton is like getting all the hype out there. I want some.
Dante Thornton, who was
Picked
a
2 rounds
fourth-round
later.
pick
Yeah.
out of Oregon and Tennessee. All right, I don't want to eat all my words. A little bit of a note of caution, though, is that Thornton is the kind of guy who's like tailor-made to shine in these sorts of settings. He's huge and he freaking flies. Like he's like rare speed for a player of that size. The problem was in college, he would do it like 20 catches a year, and then you'd be like, where is he the rest of the time? Right? Both at Oregon and Tennessee. He's one of those guys that constantly left you wanting more. Now, all the training camp reports have been excellent. I just thought that Jack Besh was a clearly superior prospect who was maybe the best route runner in the class, at least on the very short list. This guy caught everything that came in his way, so instinctive after the catch. He led LSU in receptions back as a true freshman when he was a hybrid wide receiver tight end with guys like Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors also on the team. I am a Jack Besh guy. You just have to be patient because it might take a little while.
Do you think he even prepped for the draft?
It doesn't seem
at
like
all?
it. No.
Does he even know anything about any of these rookies?
Nah, not really. I'm thinking about taking a rookie here for what it's worth. For what I'm looking at my team, I don't believe that I need to grab either a wide receiver or running back. I'm pretty, good at both spots, but I'm just going to keep building depth. For me, it's either Jaden Higgins or it's deciding that Quinshon Judkins has just fallen too far, and even though obviously we think a suspension is going to happen, at what point do you say you have to
I
consider?
don't know if you
We have
guys
no
talked
idea.
about that, but I
that's-
can't imagine he plays the beginning of the season. And
At
even
least.
if he's active and signed, how much of a role does he play? There's
I think I'll
It's a tough situation to even talk about.
let's
Yeah.
on behalf of the show, let's just say that there's not a whole lot that we can talk about until there's more clarity there surrounding a disturbing situation.
Yep,
So
for sure.
if you take him,
There's a reason he's
hard to
moved way down the
compartmentalize,
ranks.
but
here.
yes,
Correct.
this guy could be available week 1. He might not be available
Yeah.
until week 7. So
Yep.
let's just leave it there.
I'm going to go with Jaden Higgins and take another wide receiver
I like that.
here.
I've
Someone that I
drafted him a
think
lot.
is going to be a potential high upside guy. Nico Collins missed a bunch of time last year, unfortunately. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year, but if he does, Jaden Higgins feels like he would be the number 1 X in that offense.
We talked last year about them being a potential offense that could support 3 fantasy relevant receivers.
Yeah.
Still CJ Stroud there, but after Nico Collins, who is it?
Yeah.
It's no one. There's no Tank Dell this season. Christian Kirk, maybe, but he's getting a little older. I don't know where the ceiling is there.
You were
But
saying the only part about the Christian Kirk trade that I'm having a hard time understanding is they paid him $16 million this year.
yeah.
It's a lot of money for him to just be like a very much third wide receiver. We'll see.
But then again, Higgins was drafted to be an impact player. You don't spend that capital on a guy. I mean, if he's the real deal, which so far reports are good, he could very much be number 2 in the pecking order. And if that's the case, he'll be
Last 2 picks here, by the way, Mike.
Yeah, sure are.
Especially in that offense, I'm not sure. I'm not loving either Joe Mixon or any of the other running backs. If you told me they had to throw the ball a ton, I am in on getting someone from this offense. Really quickly, come in after that Jaden Higgins pick. Trey Harris comes off the board, then Tajay Spears, then Dallas Goedert, and Mike Clay. Where did you go with the
Yeah, I
final
went
pick?
with the guy I think will be Cleveland's lead back for at least the first half of the season, Jerome Ford, especially since I went James Conner, who I'm fine with out of the gate. But Joe Mixon, what if he doesn't play? I need another option there. Jerome Ford, I think, will be a guy we rank as an RB2 early in the season.
Why don't we talk about your whole squad then? We'll quickly go through each of our drafts. And Mike, we'll start with yours. You had the number 1 overall pick. Let's throw yours draft back up on the screen and then go and talk through why you made some of the decisions that you made.
Yeah, this team's fine. I mean, this will probably be my best team because it's not my favorite team.
Sure.
Yeah, after the draft, it's fine. I usually like picking from the 1 spot, and I really got a good core out of the gate with Chase, McConkey, and Bowers. I feel really good about that.
Yeah, that's great.
Rasheed Rice, a lot of upside. But I took some risks here. It's just the way the draft went. Obviously, Joe Mixon, Rasheed Rice, and Chris Godwin can miss time early in the season. So, this is I'm playing to win it all. This is like a first or last team. I might have some problems early in the season or throughout the season if these guys don't play a lot like a Mixon or Godwin. But if they're out there and effective for a good chunk of the season, this team will be really good.
Your pass catchers are legit. I mean, Jamar
I like
Chase,
that.
Lad McConkey, Brock Bowers, Rasheed Rice when he's back and healthy, Chris Godwin when he's back and healthy. You got to figure out the running back spot potentially, but you've got yourself some really,
If they do
really
their
great pass
normal, if
catchers.
Connor and Mixon do their normal usual thing and Kyler finishes QB7, this team will be a contender.
And by the way, you waiting at the running back spot and being able to get a guy in Jerome Ford that likely will start at least a number of games to start the season gives you really good starting value towards the end of the draft when you
It'll be
waited
like
at the
our
running back spot.
RB 19 or 21 in week 1. when we do our
Probably. And he
rankings,
was
something
drafted
like
as
that.
running back 30 right now.
last pick of the draft. Yep.
Field, let's throw your draft up next. You had the number 10 overall pick.
And I think I like it. Here we go. Quarterback Jaden Daniels, running backs Amarian Hampton and Bucky Irving. CeeDee Lamb was my first pick. Good value there at number 10 to go along with Jalen Waddle. Evan Ingram as my tight end with Roma Dunze as my current flex. Backup options include Michael Pittman Jr., Rashid Shaheed, and Tony Pollard. So feels like I've insulated myself with some good wide receiver depth. Running back, not bad there as well. And I just think I went for a lot of upside type players, right? Jaden Daniels could be quarterback 1. CeeDee Lamb could easily be wide receiver 1. Amarian Hampton could be a top 10 running back. So I am digging this team.
Yeah, I like it. I do like this
a lot.
team. That's a fun team.
Have we voted yet on whose team has the best?
We have, Field.
I vote
I
for
haven't even
myself.
given out my team yet, and we already know where the people are landing. I'm going to give out my team first, though, but I believe that a good majority like yours, maybe 58% or so like your squad. All right, my team, I had Joe Burrow at the quarterback spot, then Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown, Jerry Jeudy, and George Kittle with David Montgomery as my flex. My starters, I wanted to go out and give this a shot, right? This is why we do mock drafts. I wanted to try something. In a 12-team league, let me grab a top-tier tight end and a top-tier quarterback and see how the rest of the squad plays out. I got a little bit of wide receiver work that I maybe have to do. I do have Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, and Jaden Higgins. I got some high upside guys there as well as a decent floor option in Khalil Shakir. So I like this squad for what it's worth. I'm not taking Joe Burrow or George Kittle out 17 weeks out of the season, or 16 of the 17 weeks. They're going to be set it and forget it for me. So being able to make a couple of moves here potentially as well, having some nice running back depth. I like having Demo and Swift and McCaffrey.
I don't know how these are determined, but the top 5 power rankings after the draft in 5, the 5 spot Daniel Dopp's team, the 4 spot Field Yates, 3rd spot player 4, 2nd spot player 7, and 1st spot Mike Clay, whoever that is. That guy.
Who comes up with those.
Let me ask you a question. Do you
I don't
care
know how
about
they're
some AI Mike Clay projections or
AI has had a
YouTube
couple
chat.
too many margaritas is what I'm thinking.
what do the YouTube
right
chat
now.
think?
YouTube chat said 58% Field Yates
That's good.
for a draft. I mean, you got a good draft.
It was a good team. I like Field's team. I mean, mine's just,
Wow.
it's just solid. It gets the job done and it wins
people.
championships. So
25% went with Mike Clay. Only
care about you
15% went with me for what it's worth. That's
Sorry,
tough.
I'm not scared.
Honestly, I'd love to play this out. I think I could put my squad up against you guys any day of the week. This was a ton of fun, though. We got to run it back again next Monday. You guys down to do that?
I will maybe do it. I don't know. I'm not. I'm
we'll
not
see
here.
if you
That's
show
a marathon,
up.
right?
Wait,
The marathon.
Mike. Oh,
is the
Saint
weekend.
Tropez is next week.
Oh, that's right.
Now
That's
Stefani's
right.
in, but I'll be here all this week.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to bring it back tomorrow. All 3 of us are going to be back to dive more into whatever we're going to talk about. I'll have to figure out what Mike
Tomorrow's
Clay
the
wants
Mike
to talk
Clay book.
about.
Mike Clay.
Is it the Clay book?
Sure, let's do it.
That's going to be a ton of fun.
I got to
Talk
break some
about
news. That will be the first book that I have read in a decade.
In a decade?
I mean, do you count books at night for my
I was going to
kids?
say, do you
read
not read to your children?
Yeah.
Last week I read 2 books. I mean, I was just on the beach relaxing. I don't know if you guys know that. I was away.
Yeah, you know,
Just
guys, people
relaxing,
read
reading.
books on the beach. Why do you?
That was me.
Why do people do that?
I read the labels of beer cans to
On
figure
the
out
exactly
where they're
I read the back of
from.
my sunglasses and my eyes are closing.
Well,
That's what
you
I
guys
do.
were busy though. I mean, I just had the whole entire day.
Oh, we were
just
busy,
laying
huh?
on the beach. I
Yeah,
mean,
thanks for
it's
that
tough.
invite,
Yeah.
Field, and I really appreciate it. That's gonna do it for us today. Don't forget to love each other, even people like Mike Clay, and be kind to yourself. You deserve it. We love you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow.